That's right, you geeks. Welcome into the Echo Screen, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf. Hopefully you can see my face. I am the Commodore, as always, your host, and with me, hopefully, again, if everything is going right technically, you can see Rue on the other side as well.
Not my fault. Not my fault this time.
It's not your fault this time. I think we broke the internet. We even had to shop competitive products before before our broadcast medium would cooperate.
Yeah, a little bit of inside baseball, but normally we use Skype to bring in Kami to this this little matriculation we like to call a show.
Yes.
And we're like, this is not working. This is garbage. You look like a Salvador Dali painting. Yeah. So I was like,
it was not cooperating.
Let's try Google Hangouts. As soon as we boot up Google Hangouts, Skype is like, okay, I'll play good. Here we go.
Yeah.
And so there we go. I'm sure you all.
Hopefully that won't happen every time. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not sure why Skype was acting the way that it was. Hopefully that will fix itself. But folks, this is going to be a special show because it's almost like a ticking time bomb. I just want to let all of you know that at any moment I could turn into a Salvador Dali painting, and this whole show could just go completely tango uniform. And we'll see you next time. But hopefully that won't happen. Okay, so we're gonna keep things moving.
And on top of that, we had a shortened show on tap anyway. So
yes, we had a shortened show on tap, and it could end at any moment. So just hold on to your seats tonight for the Echo Screen Live, where we are going to talk about the topic du jour this evening, which is the mobile bubble. There's a couple different meanings to that, but really we want to talk about mobile games and how ridiculously overpriced they are and overvalued they are. But before we do that, I do want to talk about, I know we're shortened program. We don't want to talk about a lot of news and notes, but I do want to bring up one thing that I think is really good for you and for me.
Yes.
Have you heard
the Muffin Man?
Of the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane? No, that too. But have you heard of the Kickstarter to reboot Mystery Science Theater 3000 with Joel Hodgson?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
Okay. Well, as of yesterday, there is a Kickstarter to reboot Mystery Science Theater 3000 with the original creator, Joel Hodgson, who is trying to get about $2 million, I think, to make 3 episodes. And I think it's like $5 million to do 12. I don't remember the whole.
$1.2 million pledged toward the $2 million goal.
Pretty good in about 2 days.
Mike was better than Joel, though.
Mike was much better than Joel, and Mike is not attached to this, which is why I wanted to bring this to your attention.
Yeah, and aren't I can't think of their names. The guys who do riff tracks with Mike Nelson.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Bill Corbett.
Thank you. And the other guy.
Yeah, damn it! If you hadn't asked me, I would have known. I followed them both on Twitter.
But those three do riff tracks, and then meanwhile Joel Hodgson does Cinematic Titanic, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is something similar.
Mary Joel Peel.
Yeah, it's like with the other half of the MST3K crew. So that's interesting. The guy it's like a friendly rivalry going on between those guys. So
yeah, and so I do follow Mike on Twitter because Mike is my favorite host of MST3K because he's just awesome.
Yeah,
and Kevin Murphy. And
thank you.
So Mike did tweet yesterday that basically he was just a hired gun with Mystery Science Theater 3000. He hasn't made a dime off of that show since it went off the air. It coming back means really nothing to him, and he wishes them the best of luck, but it doesn't have anything to do with him. And as a result, I'll be honest with you. This is why I was bringing up good news because I thought you'd be excited. But I think you probably had the same reaction that I did. If you don't have Mike and you don't have Kevin Murphy and you don't have Bill Corbett, I probably won't put any money toward it.
Well, as I mentioned a few episodes ago, I've only put my money toward one thing on a Kickstarter / Indiegogo project. It was for hot sauce, and you know what? I got my hot sauce.
It's damn good hot sauce.
It's damn good hot sauce. Damn it, I got my hot sauce. That's all that matters. I didn't put it toward any lofty goals of some MMORPG 5 years from now, and you got to pay $50,000 to get a starship to troll the wasteland, blah, 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 and selling it on Dreams and Unicorn Horns. No, it was hot sauce. Yeah. I paid $10. I got some hot sauce. I feel good.
And you got your damn hot sauce.
I got my damn hot sauce. So stuff like
Anyway,
this. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to hear, but I won't be putting money toward it.
It's nice here too. I wish Joel all the best of luck with it. I probably would even consume it if it comes through the right medium, but I'm not gonna contribute any money to it.
I'm sure he'll do fine.
Yeah, and meanwhile, if you want the kind of new crew MST3K folks, check out Rift Tracks, which are awesome, by the way. Okay, let's get to the topic du jour. We're way late.
We're way
It's time
late.
to make up some time.
We were waylaid by highwaymen.
Yeah, well, okay. I don't. I mean, maybe you can stretch it that way.
Complete distraction from the topic, but why not? We already started.
Yeah, sure.
So we've talked before about how much we love Hardcore History, which is a podcast done by what's his face.
That I've never even consumed.
Never mind. I love
Yes.
it. I've told
Yes,
you to love
let's
it.
say.
That's what I was
Yes,
thinking.
you told me. Yes.
Hardcore History. Can't think of the name of the guy, but you guys should check it out.
This train is derailing fast.
It is. Anyway, I've picked up another. I've gone through all this. I've picked up another podcast called Revolutions.
Revolutions.
It's a little bit drier, but still like a dry sense of humor, so it's still good. Not as like in your face, exciting, painting pictures of stuff, but it's still good. You'll never guess what the topic is. Revolutions.
Revolutions.
So he's Dan Carlin. Thank you. He does Hardcore History, and I don't know the name of the guy who does Revolutions, but it's good. He's done 15 episodes on the British Revolution, or I'm sorry, the British Civil War, English Civil War.
Nice.
He did 15 episodes on the American Revolution, which was really good. And he's in the middle of the French Revolution, and I think he's at like 55 episodes or so, which is
Wow.
because the French Revolution is freaking complicated. I never personally knew much about the French Revolution, just because. Well,
Why would you?
Why would I? But I was always been a little interested. All I know is like a lot of people die, and it's super complicated. So it's very helpful. It's a good podcast. I suggest it if you like history. Anyway, I just wanted to throw
I
that
just
out
bought
there.
a couple books about the War of the Roses because I miss reading Game of Thrones. Does that count for anything?
No,
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't have the same intelligent content that you have. When you said revolutions, the first thing I thought of was maybe they were going to chronicle the punk revolution in England in the mid 1970s.
Well, there was a revolution in England that he covered, but
I would be a fan of that. Who
Anyway.
covers that? Let me know.
anyway,
Okay, the actual topic, in case this podcast dies in 30 seconds, that we're actually trying to get to here before this whole thing just blows up, is mobile gaming, and specifically the mobile bubble that we see. Really,
I would actually open it up to the kind of tech bubble we're seeing in mobile in general, not even just gaming. I mean, so let me go ahead and I'll dump into this feet first, if you know what I mean.
Yes. No. Go ahead.
So there was this news that came out about a week ago. You may or may not have heard about Activision purchasing Candy Crush, or King, I should say,
King,
who
right.
makes Candy Crush. And they paid $5.9 billion for King.
They also make Bubble Witch Saga.
Yeah,
so
but they're really, they're
anyway.
really, what?
Well, Bubble Witch Saga. I thought that was an interesting connection.
Oh,
Go ahead,
Bubble.
keep going.
I thought it's
Yeah,
a
go
double entendre.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, I know.
That's
fine.
Sexy
Go ahead.
Witch? Anyway.
Yep, no, Bubble Witch.
Got it. Anyway, the point being is that $5.9 billion is an insane amount of money to think about.
Yes.
For
it-
some comparisons, Disney paid for Lucasfilm, which is all the Star Wars properties, all the LucasArts video game properties, everything.
Everything.
$4 billion. Lock, stock, and barrel.
$4 billion.
So
one of the most successful franchises in the history of American cinema, and all the accoutrement that surrounds it.
Yep.
And all of the franchises that were offshoots and or intellectual property of Lucasfilm.
$4 billion.
$4 billion.
So you could have bought, in theory, Activision could have bought the rights to Star Wars and everything attached to it, and still had another $2 billion to play around with instead of buying King.
Yes.
Also,
Which makes like 4 games.
Microsoft bought Mojang,
Yes.
which makes Minecraft, which if you pay any attention to children nowadays, or even, not even children, but the thing is, Minecraft is quite possibly the biggest video game in the past 15 years.
Absolutely.
Just in terms of
still is to a certain
severe
extent.
popularity. I mean, it is basically like, for kids, it is basically like Pokemon was in the late 90s. You know, Pokemon is still popular, but in the late 90s, it was everywhere. You could not escape it.
Right. Cultural phenomenon.
Everything is Minecraft. Everything, I mean, the video games obviously sell well, but it's also all of the merchandising where the real money from the movie is made. And,
right.
And that was 2.5 billion. So wow. You see where I'm getting here? Mm-hmm. For a mobile game, which is basically a Bejeweled ripoff.
Yes.
And we can argue about that, but it's basically a Bejeweled ripoff.
Yeah, but so hold on. So now let's think about this.
Okay.
So I'm just going to take a devil's advocate.
Well, okay. Before you take the devil's advocate, let me at least lay out my thesis.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you freaking kidding me? That's my thesis.
Okay.
I mean,
I can't really argue with that. That's a question.
You can. I'm a little hot at this. I don't know why. It's just like one of those things. I was telling you before the show when we were, trying to get Skype to work. This reminds me of the housing bubble, circa 2006, which is when it was pretty much at its peak, where it's not like, at least in America, it's not like people were looking around being like, wow, we're totally not in a housing bubble. No, it was like there were news stories every week. Hey, this housing bubble is getting crazy. When's it going to burst?
Things are way overvalued.
And everyone's just like, okay, I'm going to pay.
Mortgages.
Let me buy this $1 million house in the middle of the desert in Arizona. Whatever. This is going to be fine. Yeah. And then crash.
I can sell it. People find it.
And it's the same thing going on here. It's like people, except for those insulated in Silicon Valley, are like, what the hell is going on? Why are people I'll just go ahead and say overvaluing these companies, many of which have never even turned a profit.
Silicon Valley is, now we're getting away from mobile here.
Well, I'm mostly sticking on mobile. And okay, let me say one thing. Candy Crush definitely turns in a lot of revenue. Here's the question. How long is that going to really go?
Just ask Rovio about how much money Angry Birds makes. Ask. Well, I mean, I think to a certain extent, ask Mojang, if they were still around, how much money they get from Minecraft subscriptions now.
I mean, it's probably still decent. But I mean, the thing
about World of Warcraft, how many subscriptions they have now?
Where Blizzard's same company, Activision Blizzard, right? And they're not going to be talking about their subscriptions anymore. But I mean,
this is my point, right? To a certain extent, aren't they watching their own?
I mean, the thing is that look at Zynga. Look at the rise and fall of Zynga.
It's a perfect example.
And just as a microcosm of that, look at OMG Pop, which was huge for like a year with Draw Something. Yes. They were bought out by Zynga for $180 million, which looks like peanuts compared to this.
Oh, yeah.
$180 million. Boom. There you go. And then what happens like a year later?
Dead.
They laid off everyone and killed the company and all of its games because it had died.
If something happens culturally tomorrow, this is a problem with a cultural phenomenon and not just a commodities phenomenon, okay? But if something happens culturally tomorrow where, let's say something really bad happens with Facebook and you find out that it's possible that Facebook is exposing all of your information to very nefarious people, I think you, along with a lot of other people, me included, would get the hell off of there as fast as we possibly could. If Facebook lost 50% of its users tomorrow, would it be worth anything?
Well, the question is, how much is it really worth now? Is that an inflated value?
Of course, it's an inflated value, but it's an inflated value because you're banking on the fact that it's almost like a speculation with oil, right? It's like you're speculating to a certain extent that the users that are there today are going to be there tomorrow, and they're going to be consuming more of this platform than they consume tomorrow. Right? Mm-hmm. Because it's not necessarily how much revenue is Candy Crush bringing in. It's a cash cow. It's doing very well. But will people continue to buy? Because that's how they make their money, right? They make their money by, it's not just like, mom leaves the phone in the kid's hands, and the kid just starts buying, more lives and whatnot, just spending on the credit card. People spend thousands of dollars in these games.
Some
If you
do.
ever want to see
Yeah.
the free to play episode of South Park explains it quite well.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's tremendously overvalued because they're looking at just, hey, they're saying if people are still playing this game at this rate, then we're going to be able to see that this percentage of people are going to spend $1,000 or more. And if that percentage of people spend $1,000 or more in this game, then everything's going to be fine. And we're going to make our money back. Well, mobile games, what I think we're really talking about, and mobile in general, and what we've seen in the past is incredibly fickle.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredibly fickle marketplace. Flappy Bird goes up, and all of a sudden, everybody forgets about what they were playing the day before.
Right.
In a day, it just stops.
Which
right?
is, that's for a terrible game. It doesn't matter because it just grabbed the zeitgeist for a little while, and you know what? It made that guy a lot of money. This no one programmer from Vietnam suddenly had a ton of money dumped into his lap,
and was making millions of dollars a day.
And you know what? That's fine. That is there's nothing wrong with that as a business model. I mean, it's kind of like doing stuff on YouTube, frankly, which we know a little bit about. It's like you can make a good bit of money yourself on YouTube and through ad revenue, whatever. It's good work if you can get it, but it's ephemeral. And for someone to come by and say, "Oh man, that Flappy Bird, that's amazing. I'm going to pay $1 billion for that," is ridiculous. It's just because it caught that lightning in a bottle. This is the nature of mobile, not just gaming, but mobile apps in general, is that it's catching lightning in a bottle right now. It's ridiculous to value that at the high numbers it's being done. It is lately.
No question.
It's
and I think
classic bubble.
But when you buy normal software companies, because this is a software company, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You buy it because you want the intellectual property they have today. You want the user base they have today. That's nothing new.
It's mostly the user base.
But you also, hold on, that's really important with mobile, right? But with when you buy software companies, that traditionally hasn't been the most important part. What becomes, I think, important is kind of the pipeline of what you're buying. Like, can I take what they do and synergize it into maybe what I do and sell something that's bigger and better and can attract more people, right? It's why a lot of software companies get procured. My point is that is not even in the equation here. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason it's not in the equation is something that we talked about when we talked about PlayStation 4. Like we talked, hey, PlayStation 4 is incredibly successful, and no one at Sony knows why. I bet you if you go to King, like you and I know the basis behind Candy Crush. Now, I don't play Candy Crush with any kind of regularity. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you don't either.
No.
But you know enough about it.
And I know people that play it.
Why is that game so successful? Can you tell me?
Because it's fun and it's something that captures the zeitgeist for a little while and it'll go away.
Right. But my point is, if you and I had to sit down and do a critical analysis of Candy Crush, inevitably, I think what you and I would find is exactly what you said: a novelty. Sure. But honestly, a formula that has been written, has been run over 1 million times, and has an inevitable end to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if I bought a software company and I said, "Hey, great, this is what you guys did here. You captured novelty, everything we just said. Go make the second version of that, or go do another one." Mm-hmm. And they have no idea how the hell they made the first game so successful, then everybody's going to be like, or we can't make another one.
That's pretty much what Zynga did. I mean,
exactly.
It's not like they don't know what they did. It's that, okay, and I want to go back a little bit because in the comments, JSC says, quote, "Guys, it's not just about one game or King, but development of future games and unlimited advertising." Okay, this is the feedback that we get. This is why people in Silicon Valley say, this is why it's worth it, because these things. Right. Let's address one. We're already addressing the first one, which is development of future games. So,
yep.
Candy Crush by King is very similar to a lot of other games, and a lot of other games that King makes is similar to a lot of other games. Now, none of these games have anything particularly clever about them. I mean, they're fine. They're fine games. They're fine amusements. But there's
Draw together. What was it? Draw something. Draw together. Yeah, draw something was actually a really great concept.
It was, but
it wore out very quickly.
Yes, it wasn't something to base anything
a business model
off of. It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not. If you buy Microsoft, or hell, even Apple, or whatever. You can argue if Apple's really a software or a hardware company at this point. Both. Okay, we'll stick with just software. If you went and bought Microsoft, one of the most famous software companies in the world, or Google, what are you buying there? You are buying actual platforms and knowledge that is extraordinarily, singularly unique in the world.
And no one knows future products that's in development.
Yes, that is based off of that no one else can mimic. I mean, you have obviously you have other operating systems, for example, you can use that are comparable to Windows, but it's not. Yes. It is not Windows. I'm not trying to say, oh my God, Microsoft's the greatest. I'm just using an example, right?
But they have hundreds of software engineers that work around the clock as their day job to develop these platforms, to develop the future of these platforms.
And this is a unique and important part of their business.
Correct.
Whereas Candy Crush,
and it's still enterprise. Yeah.
Or a lot of these particular mobile games are frankly not very exciting. What is it about? What's unique and exciting about WhatsApp, which was bought for $16 billion by Facebook, that makes it worth $16 billion? What is so unique and special about that code? The answer is nothing. Frankly, nothing. So that goes to the second point of your comment, which is they're buying the user base and unlimited advertising. That is true to a point.
Right.
How does that work out for MySpace?
Well,
you're right. Or the people who are on the millions and millions of people who are on Draw Something just 2 years ago. These things, as we said, are ephemeral, and it's foolish. It is fool's gold to buy something super, super overvalued based solely on the user base.
Because $6 billion on this company. To put some terms to exactly what you're saying, $6 billion in this company, basically. If they are going to have to basically string together, even to break even with this deal, which will make it well over $6 billion at that point, I think, is how much money are they going to have to make in order to make that even break even? You're going to be talking about not just $1 billion a year. You're going to have to be talking about $2 billion a year probably, and and even at $2 billion a year, which is much more than the company is making right now in all of its revenue. This is not profit. This is just revenue. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just to break even, and you have to bank on the fact that user base you're buying is going to be around 3 or 4 years from now. Mm-hmm. That's why it's fool's gold. That's to put some numbers into what you're talking about. That's why that is absolute folly.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
who can keep a user base on a game like that for 4 years?
Right. And here's the point. It's like, okay, for example, and I already said that Candy Crush by itself makes a lot of revenue. In July 2013, 2 years ago, it earned $633,000 per day on iOS.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I would like to say, in rebuttal, I actually really like this because it's true in almost anything. If something can't go on forever, it won't.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
Simple as that.
So much of these mobile, not just games, but applications are lightning in a bottle, and it is foolish to greatly overpay for it. And it is this strange haze that has taken over Silicon Valley lately because there's so much money flowing through there. People pay ridiculous sums of money, not just for companies, but all sorts of things. The land speculation market in San Francisco is crazy. It is almost, it may be more expensive to live in San Francisco than the island of Manhattan right now.
Yes.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and it's unsustainable, right? And I think that's kind of the point. How does this pan out? over time, right? So these things are tremendously overvalued. The audiences are transient. The concepts are ephemeral. These are not cultural touchstones. They are simply little pop cultural fads. What happens? What's the end game here? What happens when this bubble bursts?
Which it will. It will burst at some point. What will happen?
Does it sink a company like Activision Blizzard?
I don't know. I think
it's a huge entertainment company.
The thing is that Activision Blizzard has enough thumbs and enough pies that I think it will be fine. The real interesting thing, and people have been talking about it for years, is what will happen with something like Facebook, which is frankly valued on its user base.
That's all. I mean, they talk about, oh, we've got video views and we've got this. And it's like, yeah, but if you don't have users, then no one will use your stuff, and you're not worth anything.
Yeah, Techie has this perfect in the comment section. Profitable mobile apps are like pop stars. They burn very bright, but only rare ones with actual merit will last for years. And you know what? There is absolutely nothing wrong with the business model of making a successful application, mobile app or program, and selling it and making a lot of money. That's great. We're just saying it's folly for these other companies to say, oh, brilliant, gonna buy that for $16 billion, and that'll make me a profit. Especially when it's based off of just the user base of a particular application.
That's right.
It's very strange times we live in.
It is very strange times we live in. The Silicon Valley topic you brought up is a whole other conversation. I follow a lot of that stuff pretty closely, and there is a ton of money going through Silicon Valley still to this day. But you know what? People have kind of tightened the belt a little bit in just spending on everything now. But this realm in particular, that I think is very difficult to pin down, very difficult to pin a traditional business model on, there could be some long-reaching ramifications of this, right? Look at what happened with, for example, Ken Levine with BioShock. Mm-hmm. Left the AAA experience to go start basically his own company doing nothing but mobile games, right? I played Tribes for 2 years as a free-to-play model just because it was fun. I hear ruminations of other very, very popular games. Quake Live, right, with Quake 3 went free-to-play. Now it's back to cost. But, these concepts of kind of giving things away in order to attract giant user bases, I think is always going to have that pop star arc to it, right? And that's a scary thought because it's already changed the business of video games as we know it, but it could also, just like the previous bubble did with video games, completely destroy the industry and have to allow it to try to rise from the ashes again. Which could be good for Nintendo. Maybe that'll be a great thing for Nintendo.
It's interesting. It makes companies like Nintendo and Microsoft and even Sony look a lot more stable by comparison.
Yeah, doesn't it?
It is an exciting time to be in Silicon Valley and in mobile app development and things like that. It's very exciting, but it's gonna be rocky at some point. I
think so too.
Anyway, right, I mean, we didn't even get into things like how man, this in particular was interesting to me. Well, never mind. Fudge. I have too many things open looking at it. Basically, how not WhatsApp, Snapchat. I think Snapchat, which keeps refusing buyouts. From Facebook for several $1 billion. They keep valuing it, and they've never made a profit.
Right.
They've never made any profit. And how, companies like that, there was something about, Fidelity. They marked down the value. They marked down the value of their investment in Snapchat by 25%.
Wow.
Between July and September, based on the investment they've made. As someone who has their 401,
2 months.
As someone who has their 401k in Fidelity, can I please say, do not. Fidelity, please don't put my money in these things.
Yeah, I know. Please.
I work for a company that makes things.
Yeah.
It makes me sad to see stuff like that, and I don't want to see it just go Enron on me.
No, and it just makes you think about the revenue numbers you see, because it really is unbelievable. The industry I'm in, we are seeing the largest corporate buyout / merger of all time, which might fall apart because of tax law. But you're talking about $67 billion of acquisition, $5 billion a year just in interest, right? I'm sorry, $2.5 billion a year in interest. That is staggeringly huge. These numbers can't continue.
No,
right?
And like I
They
said,
just can't continue.
I just want to wrap it up with that's what I said before: is if it can't go on forever, it won't. That's it.
It won't.
Anyway, some of these companies need a VP of common sense just to basically say, what are you spending your money on?
Or the VP of generosity, like they did over at Vonage. Remember that guy?
Or PC principal.
Yeah, PC principal. that's a fair detention for you.
That's 2 weeks detention, mister.
I love that. That's such a great. We should do an episode just on how great South Park is. But South Park this season has been phenomenal.
They've been on it. You are not caught up. The last one.
No, not yeah.
Last one with Craig and Tweak. That's all I'm going to say. Awesome.
Okay.
Amazing.
I'm all.
Anyway.
All right. I do want to take some questions.
Yes.
I didn't tell you guys how to ask questions, so it's only the people that know. So they're throwing some questions out there, and they're good ones. So I'm gonna jump all over this. We will transition gently here. The stream hasn't crashed yet.
It was the Google Hangout threat that did it for us.
Yeah, it's an absolute miracle. It's a Christmas miracle, early Christmas miracle. Okay, Lupacilla asks, do you believe the U.S. game industry has become McDonaldized, as in cheaply manufactured products heavily marketed for profit? Now, before I chime in on that, right? That's not really with the meaning of McDonaldized, right? McDonaldized is about consistency, so it's about mass production.
It depends on how you look at it, really.
Right, and it's about standardization.
Mm-hmm. That if you go to a McDonald's in Washington State, it's going to be the same as your Big Mac's going to taste the same as it does in South Carolina.
But it's definitely not about markup and product, because it's very cheap margin product. So, but heavily marketed for profit, is that really the mark of McDonaldization? I don't know.
Well, so take the word McDonaldization, which is hard to say, out of it, and just take the question at face value. Then,
okay.
I would say the mobile market. That's not a completely unfair thing to say.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the AAA market on consoles is becoming more and more bloated in terms of. And we've talked about this a lot in terms of budgets and marketing and it is sadly common now for development studios to spend so much time and money on this big game, $100 million, whatever, and then as soon as the game is launched, all right, belly up, that's it, that was all, we spent it, all right, next job or next company,
well, I think
so. It's interesting side by side.
Yeah, the Call of Duty phenomenon might be the best example of McDonaldization of the video game industry, in that it's a AAA title. It's got to come out every 3 years. It's got to look and feel this way, whether we have an iterative version or not. It's kind of, just throw out the same consistent product and people will continue to buy it hand over fist. Not working very well for McDonald's right now because their whole business model's changed, but oh well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. That
was pretty.
So this is a good question. Psychopather asks, being the time I hop into the industry, not IHOP as in one word.
I thought I was talking about
hop
pancakes.
Yep. What do you think the gaming industry will look like in the year 2019?
In the year 2019.
19, almost 20. Doesn't that make you feel old?
Psychopather can't remember that skit on Conan O'Brien because he was like 2.
Yeah, he was like 3 years old. So the game industry in 2019 will probably look fairly similar, I think, to how it looks today. Except that,
Yeah.
I think because when you really think about it, I mean, it's 2015 right now. I don't know. 2019, I think there'll be more digital. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all to see the next console systems. I mean, we're really already seeing this with the Steam Box, right? Launching without any kind of portable media whatsoever. It's all digital. It's all kind of compute based. It's all converged inside one box. Kind of the DVR phenomenon for how DVR has gone from like the set-top box concept to being so collapsed into the experience of TV. There's no spinning hard drives in it. I could see a lot of that stuff happening. And in this concept, I think we're going to see a continuous explosion of mobile games that just go on and on and on until what happens is we get to the point where the cream can't even rise to the top anymore because there's just an absolute deluge of really crappy content out there on every app store out there. Sounds a lot if you're listening, right? Like the video game bubble that happened with Atari and before they were licensing games, so on and so forth. I could see that happening in the mobile gaming space by the year 2019.
What he said.
No, good. That was easy.
Easy button.
Yeah, it was nice. All right, so I'm going to leave this one for you because this could go a lot of different ways. Morgan asks, "What are the three things you want to see in tomorrow's Nintendo Direct?"
Oh, that's
the first Nintendo
right.
Direct in months.
Since the first Nintendo Direct since Satoru Iwata died this summer. Man, things to see. I don't think so. I don't think it'll be there, but I would like to hear more about the NX.
Yes.
Which is more and more evidence points to it coming out next year. So
yep.
I don't expect to hear much about it until E3, honestly, but you never know. I'd like to see more about the new Legend of Zelda, which I have some inside information on that I cannot share, but it sounds pretty amazing.
Okay,
a few deviations from the formula, which is something I've been wanting for a while, actually. I mean, I love Zelda, but it's like, come on, let's mix some things up here.
Yeah.
And more Smash Brothers stuff. Smash Brothers stuff is always good.
Oh yeah, I got to get on that too. That's at the top of my Christmas list this year. Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I got Mario Maker on my Christmas list. That's another good one.
That's a good one too. Maybe we can get a 2-for-1. Anuvong asks, considering that most are deemed bad games, do you guys have a favorite video game that is based off of a movie license? Sure.
Yep. Next question.
Yeah. All right. Great. Mine's probably still to this day GoldenEye. That was just a magical game, so well based on a movie title and movie property.
That might be the best. Honestly.
It just treated James Bond perfectly.
GoldenEye was a great movie too. It was a great James Bond movie.
Yes.
I got to see Spectre. I hear that's really good. I'm really excited to see.
You heard it's really good? I've actually heard it's the worst movie of the Daniel Craig era.
No, can't be worse than Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace is pretty bad.
I heard Spectre was solid. I am most excited to see Christoph Waltz because I love him.
I love him.
He's like born to play a Bond villain.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
No, there's actually quite a few good video games based off of movie licenses. More recently, the Back to the Future game by Telltale is pretty decent, mostly for its story. And the Ghostbusters game that came out a few years ago as well, that was written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
totally feels like it could have been the plot to Ghostbusters 3.
Right.
So you might as well take it to be. So
just do it.
Just yeah.
Techie asks, popular content on YouTube isn't as bad as popular mobile apps, despite even less investment and an even lower barrier to entry. Why? So I think this touches on something you and I have discussed before, which is we think PewDiePie and the popularity therein is another kind of bubble. Because it's the same kind of ephemeral thing. It's here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
The 12-year-olds that love PewDiePie will not be 12 for long and probably won't care about PewDiePie in about 2 years.
It's very strange. It's because that is a key to success on YouTube. When I've discovered this as the more I think about it, the more I witness children watching YouTube or anything for that matter, and it makes me remind myself when I was a kid and I would watch something like Aladdin or Back to the Future 3 times a day. You know, kids love to watch the same thing over and over. They will watch the same YouTube video when they have access to, when it's like there's a 10-minute video and they'll watch the same thing over and over. Like some of the most like some of the most watched videos on YouTube that are not music videos are like Misha and the Bear or something like that, which is like I almost said Soviet, like a Russian cartoon.
Soviet. This is 1985.
In Soviet Russia, bear eats you. Wait, as opposed to you eat bear.
The Kansas City Royals did win the World Series, so it could be 1985.
That's random. So okay.
Yeah.
But my point being is that this is a big question. You can if you appeal to children and young teenagers, you are and can somehow break them. Get a little lucky. You can make bank on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
The question is, how much longer will that be the case? Will the ad revenue base be there? I can say one thing is that in the past 5 years, I've noticed that the payout per, the CPM, all this lingo, basically the money that you get for every however many views or clicks on the ad, blah, 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 they've definitely dropped. It's become watered down. As the ad companies realize more and more the value of these things, whether they're actually getting anything out of them, how to better target people.
Exactly.
It's evolving. I don't know if it's a bubble that will pop. I mean, I don't see it being...
There are business models that are evolving.
It's not quite as crazy as some of the stuff we're seeing. Like, no one's paying PewDiePie $1 billion to lock him up in some sort of ad deal. But, yeah, I don't know if...
No, but the fact that he's making $50 million, that's just...
It's not $50 million, is it?
It's $50 million.
No. Last I heard it was $4.
$50 million. Forbes. Go check it out, buddy.
You're making it up.
I'm not making it up.
You're full of
I'll
crap.
even send you the link.
You're full of
you
poop.
jerk.
Hey, it's 10 o'clock. You know what that means?
It means you're going to turn into a pumpkin?
Boop. That was the sound of me turning into a pumpkin.
Yeah, no. So, anyway.
Nope.
You just totally turned into a pumpkin, and now we have to end the show.
The end.
That means?
Yep. Even though we started 15 minutes late. It's what happens.
All right. So, folks, sorry for the abbreviated show this evening, mostly because of our continued horrible technical issues. Our thanks to Microsoft for making us late, but for keeping the show up. So at least they got that going for them. And I did find out that the people that were troubleshooting my Windows 10 and trying to help me were actually trying to solve a problem that I didn't have on Windows 7. So I'm like, no, I'm trying to solve this problem with Windows 10. I'm fine on Windows 7. So anyway, thank you, Microsoft.
Maybe a Snapchat ran Skype. Things would be better. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, don't count on that happening anytime soon. We will be back in 2 weeks, inevitably, and hopefully at that point we will have a handle on this whole internet issue, and maybe Skype can get its act together.
Man, we're gonna have a pre-Thanksgiving episode.
That's a good thing.
Ooh, we should come up with a good related topic.
We're gonna have we'll have a show for things we're thankful for. It'll be good.
We're thankful for Windows 10.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and from what I understand, it's those things are going to go from like gentle suggestions to upgrade now, or I'm turning off your start menu. But anyway, another whole conversation for a different time. Anyway, so we'll be back in 2 weeks, folks. Sorry again for the abridged show, but next time, I assure you, it will be all of us in our great glory with all 3 sections of the program. Don't worry.
We had all 3 this time. It was just a little abridged.
Really abbreviated.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's fine.
Meh.
Until next time, anyway. So, have fun, play games. We'll see you guys next time. For Rue, I am the Commodore from the Echo Screen Live, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf. And there is no reset button.
Be excellent to each other.
Good night and good luck.
Party on, dudes. I don't know what that was. I apologize.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Answer. seen the
Hey, I got no time for an outro. You good with that?